What's going on, guys? It's Luke here. We had two trades today. We had a break even long, and then we ended up taking a win on shorts. Again, before we get into the video, guys, if you guys want to get a link, sign up link to Alpha Futures, link is in the pinned comment. And if you guys want to join the Discord where we do every single day pre-market analysis, we do some voice chat trading, we do all that stuff in there, in-depth videos, premium education, all that stuff, it's free. So if you guys want to join, link is in the pinned comment. I have to post the executions for the second trade, but there was the P&L and then there was the entry on the first trade. So basically, I'm going to run through what I was looking at for the day. Coming into the day, I actually wanted to see a move lower. I wanted to see manipulation higher before we ended up going lower. But as you can see off of market open, we ended up just completely dumping, and we ended up taking out, most of our sell side draws. Like we started off, we pulled into a 1 minute gap and we took out Asia low. Then we just continued down. We took out New York PM low, and we just kept continuing lower and lower and lower. So at this point right here, I noticed that we had this 15-minute first presented fair value gap all the way over here. And as you guys know, 15-minute first presented fair value gaps is something that I love to use, especially any higher time frame first presented fair value gap. So I expected probably this to be an area where we'd see a reaction off of. So going down to the lower time frames, after we ended up sweeping out Asia and like I said, New York PM low, we ended up kind of starting to chop around. At this point, I was kind of looking for reversal because we had formed this 15-minute bearish fair value gap up here. So I wanted to see kind of like a reversal model into this 15-minute gap so that we could, we could catch a reversal into here. And then if price wanted to continue up, we literally caught the bottom of the move, or we could lock in break even and then we see price go back down, but we could catch a small TP, or we could at least get a break even. So at this point, like I said, price is chopping around down here, and at this point I'm looking for reversal. So I end up missing the entry that I wanted. I wanted to get in off of, I believe it was this 1 minute inverse. I wanted to get in on this candle right here, but the only reason I didn't was because, again, we had this 15-minute first presented down here. So I just didn't like taking the trade because we were kind of delivering at this point. We swept out the low. We're kind of just delivering out of nowhere. I wanted to see price, come down and fill this 15-minute gap and then see a reaction up. But from there, we obviously missed the entry, and then we start to trend to the upside. And I end up liking this setup actually, and I end up taking an entry. I don't remember exactly. I think it was something on the 2 minute. I don't remember exactly. We came up, we respected this 2 minute bullish FEG right here. We had a nice reaction to the upside. I got a little bit of a late entry. I think I entered off of this change in the state on the 2 minute right there. And basically my idea was to kind of trade into 15-minute CE and take out all of this. As you can see, this built up low resistance buy side liquidity. So basically my idea, I see price trending up. We have a clear 15-minute break even point at this 15-minute gap above. Again, I missed my entry on the first one. We get a nice shift on the 2 minute. We come down. We get a nice reaction to the upside. I get a little bit of a late entry on this one. But anyway, I take the entry. I get about a 1-to-1 into the 15-minute gap. So as soon as I hit the 1-to-1, I believe it was, just shy of the 1-to-1, I move my stops to break even. So I think I had my stop right there then. It must have been, right there. So basically, as soon as we take the 1-to-1, we fill this 15-minute gap. I move my stops to break even. And my idea, again, was to see price run to CE of this gap. Again, this is a bit of a long shot because we're in a higher time frame downtrend. We're probably going to come into this 15-minute gap and reject and continue lower. But at the end of the day, I thought it was worth a shot. Again, I missed the entry up here. We have this 15-minute gap here. I think that we're going to come into this 15-minute gap and then either go lower, or we could see the continuation higher. So we had sold off so much, it wouldn't surprise me if we wanted to just continue up aggressively. So again, we get a nice shift on the 2 minute and the 1 minute. I take the entry. I get a little bit of a late entry, like I said, but is what it is. My entry was around 628 or something like that. So basically I squeezed the 1-to-1 into the 15-minute gap. As soon as we hit that 1-to-1 and filled the 15-minute gap, I moved my stops to break even. Again, I was targeting CE, which would have taken out all this low resistance buy side liquidity into the gap, but we ended up getting taken out break even. But it is what it is. We walk away with the break even there. We manage it well. From there, price comes up and it reacts off this 15-minute bearish, and we still have draws lower. You have to keep in mind, we still have this 15-minute first presented, we have this New York lunch low, and we have the previous day low. And the thing here, the main idea behind this trade was looking at ES, because if we look at ES still had, at this time, it still had this low leading into this 4-hour bullish fair value gap right here. So I figured that ES was pretty clearly going to want to come down and fill this 4-hour gap at some point, and that ES was going to pull NQ down with it. So going back to NQ, we're delivering off a 15-minute gap. right here, we poke into it. We still have that draw lower at the 15-minute first presented fair value gap. At this point, I'm scaling down and I'm looking kind of for an entry, and we chop for a while. So we come down, we get a nice inverse on the 2-minute. We get a nice, break. We come back up and we start delivering out of, I believe it was a 3-minute. We have this 3-minute, sorry, my chart's just a bit of a mess. Let me hide this so we can kind of see clearly. So price comes up and it starts delivering off of this 3-minute bearish fair value gap. And at the same time, ES is also in bearish order flow. It has draws lower. So at this point, I'm expecting, as long as NQ can hold this 3-minute gap, it's probably going to continue down to at least this 15-minute first presented. So within this 3-minute bearish fair value gap right here, we get an internal sweep of these highs. We come up, we chop, we sweep these internal highs. We're respecting around the CE point of that 3-minute gap. From this point, we continue to chop. And at this point, I was just looking for something to give me an entry. So at this point right here, I believe it was on this candle, 1033, 1034, something like that. We look at ES at that same time. ES starts to put in a bear. It just starts to dump. So at this point, I get in as fast as I possibly can because I'm figuring at this point we're delivering off the 3-minute. We have the internal sweep. I just take the entry. As soon as this candle flips pretty much bearish, I just take the entry. I get lucky on the entry. I get in at about 25,601. I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that was exactly my entry. And I basically had one TP marked at the 15-minute CE, which gave me about a 1-to-1, 1.1. Reason I ran my stop above was because I wanted to give it some room above this 3-minute candle, just in case we wanted to wick above this 3-minute gap. Now, normally I would just run it above the gap, which would have gave me a much better risk to reward, but I want to play it safe at this point and just kind of give it a little bit more wiggle room. So basically, again, I had my TP marked for the 15-minute CE, but as this candle started to push down heavy, I just decided to take the TP off, and I manually ended up closing it. So I ended up getting an extra like 10 points, and I ended up manually closing at 538. So ended up catching about a 1.2 R. Again, I didn't go heavy on the risk on this. And I wanted to play it safe and obviously take profit. And if I didn't take profit, I would have been taking out break even. So I'll run through these trades again really quick. Let's put this back on. Again, first trade, we have a huge dump after market open. We take out all our sell side liquidity. We want to see a recovery and rebalance back into this 15-minute gap. We end up getting a nice shift on the 2-minute, the retrace. I get the entry right there. Stops the break even after we enter the 15. I wanted to see CE get taken, but that was a break even again. Really wasn't like a crazy trade on this one. This was kind of just like a long shot, but it is what it is. I wanted to try and go for it, and I obviously just didn't want to. I didn't go heavy on the risk, so I didn't want to take profit at that 1-to-1. Now this one, we deliver again off that 15-minute gap. ES still has draws lower at that 4-hour bullish fair value gap. We get a shift in order flow on the 3-minute, the 2-minute. We're coming back into this 3-minute gap and respecting it. We get an internal sweep of these highs. We end up starting to shift right here. As ES starts to shift, I enter immediately on this candle. Get a little bit lucky again with the entry. As soon as this candle closes, I just get in. So it must have been 10:35, and I basically manually close right at 3:08, and then price literally comes up from there, and it's continued down since then. But super happy with these trades. Again, if you guys want to join, Discord links in the pinned comment. We're gonna VC. We're gonna do one probably tomorrow or Friday, depending on what the news is. But that's it for me, guys. Links are all in the description, the pinned comment. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.